We just wanted to share a few thoughts about the tagging process in relation to stories. And of course, tagging is a term that I guess that a lot of people are now familiar with in terms of providing identifiers, thematic identifiers for online material. It's commonly used in search engines as a way of generating or identifying material that you're looking for. So tagging anyone who's had a blog or put up some kind of internet post, they would often be asked to supply tags, which are kind of keywords, ways of helping other people find that material. Now, it is of particular interest to us in this project for a number of reasons, and it provides a number of challenges, which is why we're spending a lot of time trying to get this right. But just let me explain, because if we think about stories as data, that has to be our starting point. Now, to come from the other side, our colleagues who are hydrologists, who are working around measurements and things like that, what they're doing is generating a lot of numbers, and that is that those are different incidences of data. Now, on their own, they are kind of meaningless. They're just a lot of numbers. In order to make sense of them, what you have to do is put all those data incidences into a container, which may be a graph, maybe a bar chart, maybe a map, maybe some kind of other visual representation. But that graph, let's say, is a way of organizing all those data incidences in a way that we are then able to extract meaning from all that data. So it's a way of extracting meaning from a data set and being able to compare one data incidence with another data incidence. Now, in terms of storytelling, that is exactly what a story does. A story is a framework that allows us to organize all the experiential data incidences in a way that allows us to make sense of it, allows us to extract meaning. Now, if you're dealing with your graph and your numerical data, then you can start comparing across different data sets simply by using the same kind of graph with the same kind of indices and measurements. And that would allow you to superimpose one set of data onto another, and then you can compare across data sets. With stories, it's a bit trickier, because story frameworks are notoriously difficult to pin down. They tend to be flexible and liquid, and they change, they're unstable. So it's very difficult to impose one on top of another to be able to compare across stories. And traditionally, the way that storytellers and students of storytelling have been able to compare across stories is by looking at recurring motifs or ideas or images that appear in stories. And this is what they did as early as the 19th century and the early 20th century in organising those early collectors of folk tales. That's how they compared the stories, an early kind of primitive form of tagging. So tagging is a way of identifying within a story what is significant, what is important, and that allows us to compare one story with another. The problem is that people tag in different ways. People will use different words to identify the same thing depending on where they come from, because a response to a story is a personal thing, it's an emotive thing. So, for instance, an allotment holder may talk about watering the garden, a farmer may talk about irrigation. They're essentially the same thing. They're all both about introducing water into an environment to support crop production. But they're using different words, and that makes tagging very difficult. So the exercise we're involved in is trying to understand how different stakeholders might approach tagging of the stories, because we're trying to produce something that can be of value to a range of different stakeholders. And if we're going to do that, if we're going to get the stories working together and allow people to work with them, we need to have a system of intelligent tagging that allows different kinds of people with different needs, different understandings to be able to extract the information and be able to work with them in a meaningful and useful way. That's why tagging is far more complex than we might immediately think, and is absolutely critical to the way we develop the tool for this project.